We started the project by sitting together as a group and watching the video and using Google Documents to collaboratively organise the effects and the sounds that we were going to need on the Pro Tools timeline. The next task was to split the video into 4 parts and then each set to work to build our own soundscapes, which we'd later collaborate on in the studio together. After listing sounds for the timeline, we decided whether to record original sounds such as Foley or to find appropriate sounds in a sample library. We decided that due to the industrial nature of our video clip that it would be a great idea to visit the Museum of Science and Industry on Deansgate so that we could record machine noises and atmospheres. Ultimately, we were disappointed because a lot of the machinery in the appropriate building was out of commission or wasn't being switched on. So we had to find other ways to record or find sounds.
We carry on looking for audio to record, and we searched around Salford Keys where they were interesting sound sources from Salford's shipping quests. We visited the War Museum as well, but we were unable to find satisfactory sources. Foley is a widely used technique in film post-production to recreate sounds of character movements on screen.
In the case of Prug and Emo, as they are both human beings in the film, we recorded the sound of footsteps and clothing rustle in order to achieve an accurate representation of realism.
One of the more complicated sounds to create for this scene was the sound of the lift device flying and breaking apart through the air. Our initial thoughts were to create something using scissors or knife sounds, but that didn't really work. As you can hear, it doesn't really fit what's actually happening on the screen. So we took some inspiration from the cryptex device that's seen in the Da Vinci Code, the idea of the device unwinding and clicking, and these sounds sound like this. Sounds are actually created through a series of small toys and a deck of playing cards being flicked open. But on their own, we found that they weren't enough, so we decided to give the device a more stronger quality. And we discovered that the use of bricks and stones against metal provided a really solid sound to kind of base everything else around. And then eventually we recorded a lift sound to add as like a background to the whole thing. And the final few elements were a selection of various samples. One especially was a cable car recording. And together, the entire sounds, is approximately 20 in all, combined to create the final product.
Good.
In the film, there's rotating cylinders, so I used a bunch of sounds that I had recorded in south of Turkey, and it's a sound of a bunch of crickets and nature, and also sort of footsteps as well, but it gets lost in the mix. We try to sculpt the sound and get rid of the unwanted stuff that was there, and it fits really nice with the rotating stuff.
You'll see at the beginning of the film, there is a door shutting kind of like that. The way I achieved this was by using a sample library and finding all the different samples of doors shutting in different combinations and styles, you know, big heavy door, big wooden door, things like that. Just putting all the transients where the door closes at the same place and then EQing to make sure they all sound like one constant sound source. Originally we wanted to get a couple of actors in, but it just turned out to be too much of a hassle, and then we got past Christmas and got to January, and it just so happened that we were going to do the ADR anyway, and I turned up at the at Media City, and I just decided I'd do the ADR. So I did the ADR. Emo, close your eyes. And then I took home the recording, because I was doing two people, one young, one old. The voices are going to sound exactly the same. They're not going to be. There's not going to be any separation between the two.
You acted in the same, didn't you?
Well,
you didn't change your voice in any way, or did you?
I tried.
Yeah.
I tried, but it's very hard because you've got one voice. So I used Melodyne to shift the formant of Prug's voice down and Emo's up, so that Prug sounds like an old bloke.
What do you see at your left side, Emo?
And Emo sounds like a young bloke.
Nothing.
Really?
How do you think that worked?
Fine, better, probably just less hassle than getting actors in, and I think the performance was fine. I think it was competent.
Great.
Melodyne's probably the best tool for manipulating voice. You've got pitch shift in Pro Tools, you've got pitch shift in all your different doors, but I think Melodyne's the one that's it's got the most flexibility. I think that's really important.
Yeah.
What kind of new techniques have you developed?
Well, I think one of the interesting things was the scene where the lift is flying by you, and we see there's like a whoosh and a boom sound, and on the screen it comes towards you and goes behind you. And in the 5.1 mix, we manipulated the sound effects to do exactly that. So we sent it from front right to rear right. Literally just panning front to back, and so as you see it on screen, it'll whoosh by you, which sounded pretty cool.
Awesome. Were there any problems with doing the 5.1 mix?
No, nothing at all.